and we're seeing where we're at today, right? We're reflecting who we are every day as we walk as individuals in society, right? And I get to give people haircuts, and when they look in that mirror, they see a reflection of the greatness that's within them, but also on the exterior. Just come and be captivated by the cool, calm, and collective ambiance of Reflections Barbershop, where you'll receive the sublime service, didactic conversation, and substantive information. It's a great place to be. We are a community. We welcome everybody.
So it's really nice to be in a world where you can just go and talk. I mean, there's a lot of times where Black entrepreneurs go to spaces and they talk, they give pitches, they do all the same things everyone else is doing around them, and they're not seeing the same results, right? They're saying, I have this credit score, I have these funding, why am I not getting the same funding, right? I have these, but they're getting this, right? And a lot of times when you approach non-Black people who don't understand, who've never been there a long time, it'd be like, well, maybe list 100,000 other crazy scenarios. And Black people just understand, like, obviously not every situation is going to be like that. But when you know, you just know. And when you're with creators and entrepreneurs who've been there and know it, you don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to go on and be like, no, that's not why. You just, they're like, yeah, I get it. I've seen it and it happens. So it's just a really nice space. You can, hey, how did you overcome this? Right? You got the client. Oh, I went to this credit union. I went to this person. So it's really great to have that network and grow. Yeah, there's the Minnesota Black Chamber of Commerce. Great organization, great people in there. Black Business Enterprise also does a lot of great events, educational things. Twin Cities Professional of Colors. They have monthly events. There's always great to go connect with people. Even apart from business, just personally. I mean, some of my people I just work best with, friends-wise, are there, So it's just a good space because there's not a lot of Black professionals in Minneapolis. Like, if you look at those positions, there's not a lot of us. So it's really great to have a space. And a lot of people there are like, I never knew this would even exist in Minnesota. I didn't even know there's this many of us in Minnesota, Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming back to the Black and Rich Podcast with your host, Rich Berkley. This podcast is designed for Black entrepreneurs and business owners to get in business, stay in business, and pass on generational wealth. It's reported that Black business owners make 12 times more than Black non-business owners. It's so important for us to own our own and grow our own. So this week I have Zachary Smith. He is the owner and founder of Reflections Barber. He's going to tell a story of how he started out cutting hair in his mom's basement to be able to grow to have his own shop, and now even cutting hair for Gophers men football players. He has an incredible story. He's an incredible guy. I really hope you enjoy this podcast. Thank you for watching. Thank you all for coming back to the Black and Rich Podcast with your host, Rich Berkley. This podcast is meant for Black entrepreneurs to learn how to run their business, how to leave a legacy, and of course, how to get rich. This week, I'm very excited to have our guest, Zachary Smith, on of Reflection Barbershop. You see the hair? He's the one who got me good. I'm a little out of date, so I need to stop by for an appointment. But how you doing today, Zach?
I'm all right. How you doing?
Good. Well, I know in the community, at least in my experience, a lot of people want to cut hair. Everyone thinks they can cut hair. When did you first know I want to be a barber?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rich. So I first knew that I wanted to be a barber back in 2004. I was in high school, and, I just knew that that's what I was going to do. That was my purpose. That was my career path I chose, and I just stuck with it.
What attracted you to cutting hair?
At the time, what attracted me to cutting hair was, I went to the barbershop when I was younger. My parents couldn't really afford haircuts, so I went when I was probably about 12, got my first professional haircut ever.
and the barber didn't do a good job on my hair. And again, that was like a novelty for us to get a haircut at the barbershop. So I decided just to invest moving forward into my own pair of clippers. I went to Target and got a pair for like $20, and I just started cutting my own hair.
At 12?
At 12.
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of messed up haircuts that I, practiced on myself with, but it came together.
Yeah, I think a lot of people out in the community don't understand how important hair is.
Mm-hmm.
I was adopted, so when I was growing up, my parents were white. They did their best job, but we go like great clips.
Right.
And like when you're around black folks, they look at you weird.
Yeah.
Your line's messed up. It's not right. So it's such an important part of our culture, right?
Right.
So what was like your first client or your first get up in high school? Or was it high school you started?
Yeah. So high school, I never really started cutting other people's hair until I got into barber school.
Okay.
In like 2006, 2007 year. And that was my first time actually practicing on somebody's head. For the most part, I used myself, as the type of, practice, person just to go on myself because I didn't want my narrative to be out here that I was messing people up. So I just really wanted to, hone the craft on myself. So when I got to barber school, that's when I really got into cutting other people's hair, learning the technique and just really honing it, man. And that's where I got the essentials down.
Honestly, I didn't know there was barber school. What is that? Is that like a 1-2 year program? How does that work?
It's a 9-month program.
Okay.
You get 1,500 hours. It may have changed, but this is back in 06, 07, year. So, it's a 9-month program. You go there, 8 hours a day, Tuesday through Saturday. And, you just have people come in, from the neighborhood or the community. And you get a truncated haircut price for like $7, $9 at the time. And you just practice on them.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Is there like, can you fail that or how does that work? Is there like criteria you got to beat?
Yeah. So that's a great question. You got to do, classroom work. You got to go through the book.
There's like tests and stuff.
Yeah, there's tests.
Wow.
You learn everything from, the science, the anatomy of the body, from the nervous system, to the bones, to the layers of the skin, It's just not all you learn in hair cutting, You actually learn in the book work, the science behind it. And then you learn that, the anatomy of the barber clippers, the tools that you'll be utilizing, while you're providing the service. And then you learn the technique. That's where you start to learn how to cut hair. The technique, you practicing on the customers coming through. And, they're cognizant of that it's a barber school. And there's a strong chance that you may, not do a good job on the haircut. But that's where you got the barber instructor to intervene and rectify that error. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you just learn like that.
So do most barbers go to barber school, or is that pretty standard?
Yeah. So Minnesota, in the state of Minnesota, we got the strictest barber law. And the barber law simply states that you got to go to school for 1,500 hours. That's equivalent to 9 months. And you have to be able to, acquire a barber certification or license. And, with that, you can go anywhere in America and cut hair. So if somebody was moving from another state, they would have to, their requirements in another state may be like 900, hours of school or 6 months of school. You know what I'm saying? Here, you got to go for the full 9 months. You know what I mean? And if they didn't complete 9 months or 1,500 hours, in order to, their license to transfer to Minnesota, they would have to go back and finish additional 3 months of school. So,
so the license doesn't transfer over. So they have the hours transfer over, but they have to reach the minimum.
Right. And we got a barber board here. So you got to go and transfer your license over there. They have to be able to certify that you already, that you got the prerequisites and everything necessary to be a barber, a licensed barber, registered barber. And if you don't have that, you got to go back to school. And every year, when you do complete, your barber school, you have to be able to go and renew your barber license once a year as well. So they're pretty, pedantic and arduous with how they want, your barbering certification to be here in the state of Minnesota. And I could appreciate it.
I had no clue. I literally thought people could just open up a shop.
No.
Wow.
Yep.
So once you finished, that was right out of high school, you did the school?
Mm-hmm.
What did you do after that? How did you start getting clients?
So what I did was, when you go to barber school and you complete the 1,500 hours or the 9 months worth of school, you have to take a test, right? They test you on, the written test, which encompasses everything that you learned in the classroom session in the books, from the science, study of the body, you know what I mean, the bones, etc. Then you have to take actual haircut, tests where they test your haircut, skills. And if you don't pass, then you got to go back to school. Same with the written test. So you got to pass a written test and you have to pass the actual practical test, which with the haircut skills. So immediately after I passed that, which was like in August, of 07, I went to a barbershop, Mass Appeal. It's right over here off of Plymouth in Newton. It's no longer in existence. You know what I mean? But just a point of reference, right across from the 4th Street precinct, where Jamar Clark was assassinated.
Yeah.
That's where that barbershop was. And I was working there probably for about 6-7 years. You know what I mean? And how I built my clientele was all my peers were in school at the time. They were in college. So I would frequent the U often, you know what I'm saying? And I would go over there, started at just cutting my guys up in the dorm, passing cards. I didn't even have cards at the time. I had flyers. So I printed off, about 300-400 flyers and passed them out to people. And I was cutting in the dorms, bro. And that's how I built that clientele. And I knew later down the line that, majority of these people was going to stick with me because I was hitting them with a price that they couldn't beat, actual going to the barbershop. So this is why I was in actually barber school. I was cutting in the dorms at the University of Minnesota. And as I finished barber school, that's when they started, to matriculate into the actual barber shop, where they followed me to the shop. So it came together like that. That's how I started building my clientele.
Oh. So you hand out like fun flyers onto the doors, or just like...
Yeah, because the barbershop owner and the master barber of the shop, he didn't provide me with any cards. So, you know what I mean? All he had was flyers. And I didn't have time to be waiting on no cards. You know what I'm saying? So I just had him, give me a mock flyer. And I just went to Kinko's or FedEx and printed off like 200-300 of them. You know what I'm saying? Just started passing them out.
We got asked in barber school, you learn how to cut everybody's hair. So you could cut white people's hair, you cut everybody's hair, or just black people? Yeah,
so in barber school, man, typically, where I went to Minnesota School of Barbering over off of Lake and 36. The instructor and owner of the barber school, you know what I mean? She would, she understood the demographic of who you would be cutting when you get out of barber school.
Yeah.
For us as, black folk, historically speaking, we had no choice but to cut white people up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And cut black people, so that's the only place in history speaking where you would see like there would be integration. It was a form of servitude for black men. We had to cut white men up. So a lot of my other classmates, that were white, that were going back to the suburbs or going way out. I had one guy that graduated with me the same time, and he was from Grand Rapids. They don't have black people in Grand Rapids. So she intentionally gave him white clients, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But for the black students, we just cut everybody. That's our innate ability. We just know how to cut everybody.
Yeah. No, like I said, when I got my hair cut, they did not. When I first got my real haircut at a barbershop, I was like,
dang.
First, it didn't take 10 minutes. It took like an hour.
Right.
You got the light up and everything. So I was like, I wonder if they actually get taught that, or they just taught, who they work with.
Yeah, they were flamax, bro. They were confused. They didn't know what to do.
And I thought it was good too. I thought it was good, but I talked to people like, nah, man.
Yeah,
like,
they didn't get you
I didn't know what the difference was. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like with barber, you get what you pay for. Like, you go that cheap little haircut, you'll get a haircut. But like, for me, it's like I'd rather pay for that quality.
Right, for sure.
Where it might take a while, it might be expensive, but it's gonna be nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what are some challenges? So you said you started at a shop.
Mm-hmm.
What made you make that jump to get your own?
So it was a journey, man. You know what I'm saying? Life's all about the journey. It's not about the destination. It was always in the radar for me to get a barbershop. You know what I mean? My own. So I ended up going to like a few different barbershops because as I transitioned in my career, you know what I mean? There's also, interior, underdeveloped issues within barbershops that I was at, So at Mass Appeal, you know what I mean? They were going through some different ownership, you know what I mean? And I felt compelled that it was my time to move on. So from Mass Appeal, I went to Dimensions, shout out to Mike Spicer, you know what I mean? The owner of Dimensions, that's on Broadway and Irvin. And I worked there, you know what I mean, for about, 5 years. And then, 2016 came, you know what I mean? I ended up relocating to South Minneapolis, and that's where I was living at. So I ended up working with Jimmy Mills at J Clips on Lake Street in Hiawatha, okay? And then from there, I got my own shop, 2018 at Reflections Barbershop, 3862 Thomas Avenue North. And so it was just a journey, you know what I mean? But it was a beautiful journey, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. You got to get that training. You got to be able to get up underneath somebody's tutelage, you know what I mean? And take that, extract as much as you can from a seasoned veteran, in anything in life, you know what I mean? As a form of like mentorship. And I was able to do that. The shops I worked at, they were some doyen barbers, man. They were renowned, and they had, a reputable name. And I was just glad that I could just become a sponge, you know what I mean? And that's why I got my own shop to this day, because I was able to learn.
Have you ever thought about bringing someone else on or renting your space out, anything like that?
That's a good question. So I used to have a barber. So when I originally opened up my shop is big enough to probably fit 8 chairs in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But God never led me in that direction to be able to have, to be able to do a shop with 8 different personalities, 8 different people. So my shop is considered exclusive. It's a coterie of brothers that come in there on a regular. You know what I'm saying? Everyone knows everybody. It's culture, community, and camaraderie. That's kind of how I try to keep it. So I had a barber that I recently worked with for some years, and I made an exception and had him come work with me. You know what I mean? That wasn't in the plan. That wasn't the vision that I had. The plan was just to keep it me. You know what I'm saying? Solo dolo. But, I helped the brother out. He came and worked with me, you know what I mean, for the season that he needed me. And now, you know what I'm saying, he ended up relocating, doing what he would need to do for his business. So it was mutual respect and understanding. So I'm back loving the shop that I'm at by myself. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So
I don't have no plans on getting no new barbers in totality. If the question you asked, and I'm going to keep it solo. Yep.
Nice. So talk about that. Like, obviously we know a barbershop in the community is not just you get your hair cut.
Mm-hmm.
There's a community element to it.
Mm-hmm.
How do you build that? Or how did you build that community? Or did it just come naturally where people just start talking?
Yeah, that's a good question, bro. So I think, man, barbers, man, nowadays we have taken on this laborious undertaking, right? Which is simply deemed as the therapist. I never went to school to be a therapist. I went to school to be a barber, but I understand it comes with the trait. So I got to make sure that I get to evaluate and check, you know what I'm saying, the mindset of my client. He might be in need of something. He might be going through something. He needs to get some type of other counseling other than just the barber. My job is just to be a conduit of encouragement, empowerment, and edification. So I'm going to, embolden the brother to say, hey, man, you might just want to go check out such and such, man. My other client, they own a social work, therapist, practice. Go check out such and such. You met him here last time at the shop. Like, that's my job, just to kind of connect people with other people to get the help they need. You know what I mean? You can vent, we could sit here and confabulate and discuss whatever you want to talk about. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to get your well-being together. You feel me?
Yeah. I think that's what's cool. When I come to the shop, I remember one time, a brother was starting a rapper. Yeah. Right? We played this mixtape. Everybody was in there giving him advice. Oh, you got to do this. Yeah. You got to do that. And I was, he was just soaking all that up, So I think it's a cool environment you built. It's a barbershop environment, but it's different than other barbershop environments. Right, I don't know how to explain it.
That's what's up.
But no, I love coming in there.
Man, I love having you, bro. Thank you. Thank you for your support.
So you talk about some partnerships you have in organizations.
Yeah.
Can you speak on that? How if there's a certain ones you like or certain ones you do, and how those develop?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. You asked a lot of good questions. So thank you. So I have a partnership, you know what I'm saying, with the University of Minnesota. Okay, they got a mentorship program called the Huntley House. Okay, so back in probably like 2014, my guy Prophet, shout out to Prophet. He was a student. He was one of the students in Huntley House, and they thought it was imperative to bring the barbershop culture to the University of Minnesota.
So what is Huntley House?
So Huntley House is is named after, by Horace Huntley. Horace Huntley was a brother at the University of Minnesota that led the Moore Hall takeover back in the 60s because, athletes and other African Americans, African American students, it was an inequities at the University of Minnesota. And, he pretty much was like, look, man, we need to get funded. We need scholarships. We need the same type of treatment that these other, students that aren't Black are getting. You know what I mean? So they went to, the Moore Hall. That's a place at the university where all like the Board of Regents and the presidents are, you know what I'm saying? And they went and they led the takeover. And then, lo and behold, I guess, African American students get scholarship money, the athletes get scholarship money. There's no exploitation. So they thought it was necessary to name it after him, and it's just a group living, learning, identity-based community block where they have like their own section, within one of the residential halls at the University of Minnesota. And you know what I mean? It's a small huddle of young African American or Black students at the University of Minnesota. And, I guess that was just an incentive they thought would be nice to bring in, a barber. So I would go in there and cut their hair, talk to them about life, how their experiences at a PWI, predominantly white institution, and just encourage them, you know what I mean? While giving them a haircut to build that self-empowerment, self-concept, and self-image of who they are. So I had that partnership, you know what I mean? COVID kind of knocked it off a little bit, but we slowly getting it back together, you know what I mean? And so, that started back in like 2014. Also have a partnership with the University of Minnesota football team where I'm over there every Wednesday. So they built a new performance center, you know what I mean? And from cutting hair in the dorms for so many years, the players just continue to pass my number around. So instead of going over there cutting 10 players up in the dorm, they actually built a barbershop inside the football performance center where I go every other Wednesday. Yeah.
So they built a barbershop for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a blessing, bro, for real. So then I got the partnerships with all the theaters, you know what I'm saying? The Guthrie Theater, you know what I mean? Theater La Di Da. I partner and do some freelancing with the Penumbra. I'm always moving around, you know what I mean? And I'm always, working and cutting their actors and everything. So that's pretty cool. I've been doing that for a very long time as well. So probably since like 2014 as well. You know what I mean?
So, yeah. So how did these develop? Were these all just kind of word of mouth? You knew somebody who knew somebody? Kind of thing?
Just that network, clientele. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's all divine. It's all, God's favor. But got to give glory to him. But it's really, as well as the network, just knowing who I want to market to and seeing what that retention of the clientele base is, you know what I mean? Passing that number around, passing that card out, you know what I mean? Putting that hard work in early on, you know what I mean? And the number just circulates, you know what I mean? And they'll call me and, I go over there and provide the service, So that's kind of how it came about.
I love that. I think that's one of the biggest points I'm trying to get across in the podcast is that a lot of times I see people start businesses through this, and it's like their baby, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't let anybody else in.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you got to go.
Yeah.
When you go talk to business people, right? In the business world, they'll tell you your network is your net worth. Right? You got to go talk to people, get your name out there. If you're doing a good job and you get your name out there, it's going to develop.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
But a lot of people don't get that. Where it's, I got to do this advertisement. I got to do this. Pay for this. Do that. It's like, no, you don't got to do all that. Like,
it takes a lot of discipline, man.
Yeah,
you got to be disciplined. So I mean, I got a guy who I went to school with in high school. You know what I mean? Shout out to Jamal Rayford. You know what I mean? He works at Ackway Shop, I believe in Uptown. I'm meeting up with him later today. You know what I'm saying? So I got the Big Ten, Media Day partnership where I'm going to cut them up tomorrow. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And Jamal gonna come with me. I'm gonna work with Jamal. It's gonna be nostalgic. It's gonna be like old times. It's my little guy. You know what I'm saying? Little bro. You know what I mean? And he went to barber school. You know what I mean? And his network is knowing me, and my network is knowing him. You know what I mean? They said, Zach, do you know any other barbers? I know hundreds of barbers. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I reached out to Jamal. And he's willing to do this with me. You know what I'm saying? So like you said, it's about your network, man, being disciplined. At the end of the day.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, we're going to keep a single shop, right? Mm-hmm. What does growth look like for you? I mean, what are we trying to do in the next 5, 10, 15 years?
5, 10, 15 years, man. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay at Reflections Barbershop. You know what I mean? Trains my sons up so they learn how to cut hair. You know what I mean? Keep it in the family. You know what I mean? Give it to them. Hopefully 15 years from now, I'll be able to retire and just work abridged hours. Yeah.
That's cool. So once you pass it down, you're done. You're going to work a little bit, but then you're just going to do it.
I'm just going to work abridged hours. So probably like 10 years from now, you know what I mean? I'll be working, you know what I mean, like 5 a.m. to 11. You know what I mean? Because I'm still a father, still a husband, full-time job. You know what I mean? Still got everything else I'm doing. I'm still going to be cutting hair. You don't retire as far as cutting hair permanently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My guy, Mike Spicer at Dimensions, he still cut hair to this day. He's not in the shop no more. You know what I mean? He moved out the state to enjoy his retirement, but he's still cutting hair. You know what I mean? So that's what I plan on doing. I'm never going to put the clippers down, I always have them close to me. I cut too many heads to not be able to put them down. You know what I mean? Where my guys gonna go? To my sons? They still got that bond with me. You know what I mean? So but I'll still be around.
Nice. So what are the do you have a mentor currently, or do you mentor anybody?
Yeah. So I got people who I mentor. You know what I mean? I meet with them. You know what I mean? Talk on the phone. I got a few mentors a few mentees out of state, that went to, school up here that I met through the Huntley House program. I still stay in touch with, you know what I mean? As far as mentor-wise, man, I try to, just extract as much as I can from anybody older. I've always been a guy, I'm 33 years old. I've always been a guy where I try to just keep older people, seasoned people, wise people around me. You know what I mean? I never go anywhere, with the group. I'm always solo because you got to stay disciplined at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Distractions come ugly and they come beautiful. You know what I mean? You just got to be able to sift through them both and stay focused. You know what I mean? So as far as, mentors, it's whoever is an elder to me. I got a lot of mentor clients. They don't even know that I'm their mentor, but I'm picking their brain. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So yeah, that's what it is.
So, do you have any advice you give to somebody? Yeah, I'm gonna cut hair. I want to get into the business. What are some things that they can learn from you about? Hey, don't do this, don't do that. Do you have some advice for people? Yeah,
I call it the 3Ds, man. Stay dedicated, disciplined, and determined. If you could do that, you'll be all right. What are you dedicated to? You dedicated to getting barbering school done, accomplished, right? You're dedicated to being able to be a barber. You're dedicated to making sure that you get people in that chair, because you don't want to sit in that chair. You want to get people in your chair. You see what I'm saying? You want to be disciplined. You want to save your money. You know what I mean? You want to tell certain friends you can't hang out. You can't hang out. You know what I mean? You want to be able to just stay tunnel minded. You know what I mean? And your time is everything. You got to cherish your time. You know what I mean? You got to stay dedicated, disciplined, and determined. You got to have that moxie. You got to want to go and get it. You know what I mean? You have to be able to see 5-10 years from now what you're gonna do. It's not where you get into barbering and you say, man, I'm gonna try it out. If it don't work, I'm gonna do something else. No, you don't got no other choice. That's what you say you want to do. That's what you spend that money on. You got to stay focused to see that through. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what it boiled down to at the end of the day. And right now it's a lot of barbers coming out of barber school. You know what I mean? My style is a little bit more primitive to a lot of these newfangled barbers. You know what I'm saying? They look at it as if I'm outdated, but it's what worked for me. I hit the block, I hit the U, I hit the schools, you know what I'm saying? I passed my cards out. And if you're a new barber, a young aspirant, you know what I'm saying, coming up, you want to be able to make sure you passing your cards out to everybody. You know what I mean? Even if they got a nice haircut. That's who I was passing my card out to. And I'll hit them with the, hey, I like your haircut, just in case your barber can't get you in, I could be your backup, just hit me up. You know what I mean? And now the prices for haircuts are out the world. Inflation has really plagued everything, right? Man, they charging $60, $70, $80 for haircuts. You taking an hour and a half on a haircut to get that $80, and when you need to be, truncating that price and half charging $40 and cut 3 up in an hour. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it should be, but everybody different, man.
I don't know what happened. It used to be like $20 haircuts. Used to be like, used to be
Inflation
standard,
happened,
and now
bro.
it's like whatever.
Inflation happened. Inflation happened, man. It got tight. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, that's good. So I know you say your worst day is your best day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what are some challenges that you come up from? Like, what are some challenges, like real challenges? It could be real life, it could be barbershops, but like, what are the days where it's like, this is rough?
Yeah, man. Every day to me is a blessing to have breath in my lungs. You know what I mean? To have mobility in my limbs. You know what I mean? To be able to have sight to see and ears to hear. Not everyone has that. Somebody didn't wake up this morning. You know what I mean? So, when I think of my worst days, I can't do nothing but be optimistic, bro. That's just being honest, because God has given me another day. You know what I mean? Some of my challenges, is, within barbering, is telling people no. You know what I mean? Telling people no, because I'm so concerned about their, interpretation or perception of who I could be at times and who I am, or I just end up becoming a yes man and I'm cutting everybody up. Becoming all things to all men. That's what the word tells us. You know what I mean? But to your convenience and my inconvenience, that's a challenge of mine, because I'm conveniencing everybody, but I'm really being inconvenienced. You know what I'm saying? And time is precious. You never get it back. You know what I'm saying? So that's a challenge for me is to not to stop saying yes. I say yes to everybody. I need to start saying no. I think a lot of us need to start saying no. You know what I mean? So
I think it's a very common, especially you're a little more developing your business for new people. It's like, oh, that's a client. I can't say no to a client. I got to move my life around. But if 11:30 works, 12:30 probably is going to work. You know, you don't have to be a slave to other people's schedule.
Right.
So I think that's a big one for, I talk to a lot of business owners like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So how did you get through? Obviously, you got a good clientele. We talked about the Huntington program kind of going down a little bit. How was the pandemic for you? How did you get through? Were you able to open up the whole time? Did you do houses? How did that kind of work?
So the barber board here in Minnesota issued a mandate that, the barbershop is closed, you know what I mean, due to the spreading.
It was closed?
It was closed, yep,
okay.
Yep, it was closed. So, that was a challenge for a lot of us. But,
For how long?
It was probably about 4 months. When everything shut down here in Minnesota. Yeah. So it ended up, in its entirety, it ended up going, there was like, COVID restrictions in the barbershop for probably about 8 months to 9 months. Yep. So where it only could be, at 70% capacity. It started with the 30% capacity to 40% capacity to 70, and then it went back to being open to the full capacity. But during them 3 or 4 months, it was completely shut down. Could nobody get a haircut? You know what I'm saying? So that was a challenge. But God gave us the provision to see us through. You know what I mean? But it was definitely, a challenge for us.
Yeah. Were you able to take advantage of like the unemployment on any of those programs, or was this kind of
unemployment? Yeah, I was able to, apply for unemployment. It was only, a snippet of what I would like, to receive because I still had the business. I had everything to take care of with my mortgage, my 2 mortgages, you know what I'm saying? And it just was a challenge, but it came together.
Are there things that you think you did before that set you up? Because a lot of places close their doors, right?
Yeah, just saving.
Just savings.
You just keep saving. Yeah. Save, and save. You know what I mean?
No, that's big. I mean, I tell people 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
You gotta have that 3 to 6 months of savings built up as a business owner at least.
Right. Yeah. And I'm not even going to front, man. I did tell everybody it was tight. I tell everybody it's tight to this day, just so they could, keep tipping. You know what I'm saying? But I was saving. Saving. Yep.
All right. Was there anybody in your life who made you believe that you could own your own business? Was there someone you looked up to who was like, oh, they did it, I can do it? Or were you always just like, I don't care, I'm going to do it?
I've always been autonomous. Okay? I've always been autonomous, man. I've never been homogenous. I never wanted to be like nobody else. I always wanted to be myself. I've never been impressionable. Never had to conform to nobody. You know what I'm saying? Or their perception of who I was. So for me, it was, I'm going to get my goal accomplished. You know what I'm saying? I have no other choice. Okay. There was a season in my life, in my barber career, where I said, if I open up a shop, I open up a shop. Maybe it's not meant for me to open up my shop, but so I kind of just said, I'm just going to take a step back and I'm just going to keep working in my guy shop. In barbering, you don't work for nobody. You know what I mean? You're self-employed. You are your own boss. Now you work with somebody, and usually that somebody is the barbershop owner, but you don't work for that man. You know what I mean? You're an independent contractor. So I was okay and content with being an independent contractor working at somebody else's establishment. Not working for them, but working with them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I kind of deviated from, my goal of getting my own shop for a season, okay? Because it was every place I tried, I exhausted, wasn't available for space. You know what I mean? So I took a break for probably about 2 years. You know what I mean? And I just stayed the course, man. You know what I mean? I was driving past this space one day, and it said for sale, and I called that number, and it was history since. You know what I mean? Wow. It's been 4 years since. I had people in my, in my corner. The saying is, everyone in your circle's not in your corner. You know what I mean? I had people that would tell me, that I admired, that I looked up to, it's not good for you to get your own shop. We don't need it. We don't need more barbershops.
Really?
Yeah, it's that concept that I like to tell people. It's when your main impediment becomes your main influence becomes your main impediment. You know what I mean? You got your influence encourage you in every endeavor in life. But the one endeavor that you're holding near and dear to your heart, he's trying to hinder you or she's trying to hinder you from doing it. Nah, bro, go ahead and get what you want. And, you know, after God spoke to me, he was like, man, call that number. And I called that number on that building. It was all history from there. That's when I had that understanding, like, look, man, you got to chew the meat up and spit the bone out. You know what I'm saying? From what people, especially those who mentor you or influence you, are telling you, because their fears and failures are stopping you from living free, bro.
That's facts. I mean, I think I talked to a couple other people on the podcast about it, is that I think a lot of people, when it comes to business, finance, anything, is that they have these gurus or whoever they listen to. It could be public people you know, people you don't know. Yeah. And, like, they take their word as the gospel. Yeah, you know, like, I'm working with some clients sometimes in my work where they have these, they live in the Dave Ramsey or whoever, and they have this idea of finances. And they're like, yeah, that's good. It's good fundamentals. Right. But there's more, you know, there's other things. Like, there's more than one way to do things. Right. But people find, oh, this guy's always worked for me before. I'm going to just listen here. Right. And I think people miss out on a lot of stuff. Yeah. Because, like, not everyone has all the answers. That's right. You know, you can't assume that this person, if he's good at this, he's going to be good at this too. Facts. And people get held back by that. That's true. There's never a perfect time to start your own thing. Of course. There's always, oh, I got my mortgage, I got my kids, there's always going to be something.
It might be a good timing to start your own thing, but it's not a perfect time.
There's never a perfect time.
Never a perfect time. That's like when somebody, a woman or a man says, I'm expecting the kid, I wasn't ready. Well, you ain't never going to be ready. Man, my finances they ain't never going to be there. Yeah. You know what I mean? It may be a better time, but it's not a perfect time. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Facts.
Are there any pet peeves you have as a barber? Things people say or do that you wish people wouldn't, or you tell people to stop doing?
To give you a perfect answer or a good answer? No. Okay. But yeah, of course. Of course. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
What if I'm like...
Man, don't look me in my eyes when I'm lining your mustache up. You know what I'm saying? Hold your head back. Don't hold it down. If I'm using...
It'll sound personal to me. Yeah, no. I do that all the time.
No. Hold your head up. If I'm asking you, hold your head back. You know what I'm saying?
Just listen.
Just comply. Yeah, just comply. Yep. That's a pet peeve of mine. Yeah. Another pet peeve is when you tell me you 5 minutes away, but you're 20 minutes late. You've been with me long enough to know if you tell me you 5 minutes away and you come after that 5 minutes, you're not getting in the chair. Cut 130 heads a week, bro. That's 4 days a week. You know what I'm saying? So there's no way. You put me behind, I'm serious about my people, right? My family. So if I say I'm leaving by 7 or 6, I'm out the door by 7 or 6. You know, I'm not staying 5 minutes past. I don't care how much money you gonna pay me extra. I don't care about none of that. So that's a pet peeve when you start to bribe me. You know what I'm saying? Talking about, can you get me? You start begging. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Can you give me, bro? No, I know. My bad. No. It's integrity over income, man. Morality over money. You know what I'm saying? And principle over prosperity with me. I don't care nothing about none of that money, bro. At the end of the day, be a man of your word. If you tell me 5 minutes, be here in 5 minutes. Don't tell me 20 minutes.
That's why I appreciate you, you know? That's why I stuck with you, is that I go to too many barbershops. My appointment would be 4 o'clock. Yeah. It was 4:58, and I'm not in the seat. And I'm like, I got a day to go to. Like, I can't be here 2-3 hours not knowing when the appointment's gonna be.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the professionalism, punctuality, you know what I'm saying, and the politeness goes a long way in the barbering professional. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna give you, 10, 15 minute grace period. I'm gonna expect you to reciprocate. Yeah. And because I cut fast and it's suffice and efficient, I'm still gonna have you out by that certain time. If you say I got somewhere to be at 5 and your appointment's at 4:30 and I'm running late, I'm still gonna have you out by 5. Yeah. And I might even say, here go $5 off the cut or something, because I understand it's a business. You know what I'm saying? And you have to have that etiquette and decorum. And it has to be reciprocated. You know what I mean? Yeah. But just don't say 5 minutes and you're 20 minutes late.
No. I think that's one of the biggest, my biggest pet peeve with black businesses in general. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, I know if I go, in general, if I go to a white establishment, they say they open at 9 a.m., I get there at 9 a.m., okay, maybe 9:05, 9:10, they're going to be open. Yeah. You know, like, I hate, I always try to, every meeting I go to, I try to go to a black-owned place, if possible. Right. But if I get there at 9 o'clock, 9:30, and you say you're open at 8 o'clock and you guys aren't open, like, I can't keep going here. Like, that makes me look bad.
Of course.
Right? And I think a lot of people look at it, they don't look at it like a business. You know, it's like a hobby. Where it's like, oh, yeah, if I get there, I'm going to be late today. No, that's not how businesses work.
You're not disciplined.
That's not how business works.
Yeah.
What would you consider? How much do people tip? Is there a rule you have, or if I'm going in, what's a good tip for you?
Man, Rich, you take care of me. I appreciate that. You know what I mean?
No, not Mitchell. In general, like
Yeah,
what's
in
what
general,
somebody should do?
You know, my price is lower than the competitors, right? You know, I'm $30. You know what I'm saying? A haircut. You know what I'm saying?
Which is way lower than competitors nowadays.
Right. So,
Yeah.
you know, I make sure that there's no room for complaints. You know what I mean? That there's no room for any type of, you know, consternation on your end that you're going to convey to me later through a text message or a phone call. That's another pet peeve. If I show you that mirror and you say that mirror look good, I know I digress. But, and you text me, say, hey, this part didn't, nah, bro. Come on, man. You had a mirror and you were looking in the mirror for 20 minutes already. Like, you now just found something. No, brush your hair forward, okay? Look like you didn't brush your hair down. So you telling me your line isn't, you know, symmetrical, but it is. Just brush it down. Okay, so back to the question. So I think, man, tipping wise, I don't care, man. It really, money don't really matter to me. You know what I'm saying? I just want you to come and appreciate. You know, if you don't appreciate, I don't associate. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna show you love. If all you got is $25, great. The only reason I went up on the price because people wasn't tipping. You
Yeah.
know, my price was $25. You know, it was still below the average. So, you know, I went up to 30 just to kind of make room for that tip. But if you use that Square Reader or that Cash App, send me that transaction fee. So I don't really care too much about, you know, tipping. I'm in the you know, the business to serve people. That's why I got into it in the first place, bro, just to serve. Aside from being your own boss, and I just want to be a servant leader and serve God's people. You know what I'm saying? That's what it boils down to with me. Said the greatest among you called to serve.
Yeah.
Yep.
What would you say would be your biggest problem you've had as a business owner? So not necessarily cutting,
Mhm.
but have you ever had times where, I don't know, we talk to a lot of people where it's like, I can never get my books right, or I can never
Yeah.
get this. Have you have issues like that?
Nope. I don't have any issues with my books because, again, I run a pretty, you know, superannuated business, you know, in my way of how I book appointments. Now they got all these new types of devices and apps out here. I go strictly off the appointment book. I'll write your name in my appointment book. I got the same appointment book that I've had for 17 years. You know, I just go to Office Depot and get the new one for the 2022, 2023. Do it the same way. If it's not broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? I put everybody's name in that book. You know what I'm saying? At the certain time slot and everything. I can go in there and redact it with the eraser any given time. You know, with some of these apps, you can't do that. They book every hour. They book every 45 minutes. They don't let you. Sometimes some of these apps don't even allow you to do the 15-minute booking. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I book the appointments. I never really had a challenge in that, you know, in that endeavor, but it's always worked. My only challenge is having people there on time. You know, in the sense where, you know, where you learn your clients over time. You know, I got a lot of clients that have been following me from the beginning of time. You know, since I've been the inception of cutting hair, my career. Okay. And, you know, you start to learn their behavior. You know, okay, Desmond might be 15 minutes late. Put him at 10 o'clock and have him really down at 10:15.
Yeah.
If he shows up at 10 o'clock, oh, well, okay, he's still going to have to wait. Either way, you know, so that's probably the only challenge.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As far as booking wise.
Makes sense. Is there anything that you say sets you apart in the industry?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I think I'm organic. I think I'm original. I'm authentic. You know what I mean? My name of the barbershop is Reflections. I named it. I think that was some type of, you know, divine revelation. No, it was divine revelation. It came from God. Okay. Inspired by him. You know, when you look in that mirror, we talked about it a little bit earlier. You see a reflection of who you are. I want you to see that magnum opus. You know, that you are fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. You know what I'm saying? That this haircut is just an embellishment, and I'm accentuating, you know, how beautiful and wonderful you are as a masterpiece. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you come into my shop, it's empowerment. Okay? It's uplifting. You know, I said it's culture, community, and camaraderie. You're going to get the culture when you come in my shop. I got my Reflections mural in there where it has auspicious, you know, propitious black people on the wall to inspire, for you to admire. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's about. You reflect them that you see on my wall, you know, under you know, and we're gonna, you know, accentuate the reflection of who you are from who God created you to be, wonderfully made in Him. You know what I'm saying? And that's just, you know, another benefit to have, to be able to come in there and see, you know, those people on the wall and know that you are part of that very history and that greatness that's within, that ebony ingenuity, that chocolate charm, that black brilliance, you know, that mahogany masterpiece. That's what it's about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I love walking in the shop because that's what you see. You see, you got the African stuff. You got everything.
Yeah.
Where you know who you are and you love who you are.
Yeah. It's a safe space.
Yeah.
It's where you foster who you are, your identity, in a world that wants to, you know, sully who you are. They want to tarnish your identity. You know, they want to deprecate you. You know what I mean? They want to, you know, degrade you, you know, devalue you. You know what I mean? No, you're a black man made in the image of God, you know? So that's what it boils down to. That's what I want to cultivate and capture when you walk into Reflections.
Yeah.
I was intentional about that. So that's what sets me apart, bro.
I love it. Let's talk a little bit about, do you do any community events, community work that you want to talk about or promote?
Yeah, so I'm part of a few organizations here in Minnesota. You know, I got the shirt. I'm the president of Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated. You know what I mean? That's a, you know, black fraternity, you know, a predominantly black African-American fraternity here, you know, in the United States. But we're internationally known, 50,000, you know, brothers strong, you know what I mean? Over 250 chapters across the United States of America. Founded at Morgan State College, now known as Morgan State University. It's a historically black college. And, you know, I'm, like I said, I'm the president of our graduate chapter. We have our Iota Youth Alliance, which is, you know, a mentorship program that we have, you know what I'm saying, and chapters throughout the city, throughout the United States. And that's a form of, you know, community engagement, community involvement. We also have a Red Cross initiative that we do. Those are just some of the, you know, highlighting some of the, you know, bigger initiatives that we have. But we always out, man. We always, you know, represent for our people. You know, I always tell people we are the Black Man's Fraternity. You know what I'm saying? We were founded in 1963 in the midst of the Civil Rights Movement. Turbulent, truculent years, you know what I'm saying, in Morgan State. My founders partaked in all the, you know, the sit-ins and, you know, the boycotts, you know what I mean? That was a tumultuous year in the 63, you know, so part of that organization, that's in Baltimore.
Baltimore, okay.
Yep. So shout out to Morgan State, shout out to Baltimore, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Hip Hop Chicken in Baltimore. So I'm also a part of an organization called the Minnesota Monitors Club. And that was founded here in Minnesota, in South Minneapolis in 1955. You know, majority black men. Well, it is a black men social club. Some will call it the Black Elite, you know, social club. But, you know, our sole mission was, you know, to harness, you know, the community's, you know, resources for the well-being, socially, economically, educational, and political, you know, here in Minnesota, you know what I mean? So the demographic goes from statesmen, black statesmen, to lawyers, you know, to doctors, to CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, to me, the barber. You know, I believe I'm the first barber and the youngest to ever join the Minnesota Monitors Club. Shout out to the Monitors Club, who do a lot of behind the scenes, you know, with our Monitors Foundation. So yeah, that's some of the stuff in the community. We could talk about what we done, you know what I mean? But you know, he who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. You know what I'm saying? So there's so much that has been done from these renowned organizations, you know.
I always want to highlight what people are doing, because I think, you know, our family, a lot of them live in the suburbs. Okay. Right? They don't come to Minneapolis a lot. Okay. So when we talk about good things happening in the cities, they don't hear a lot of it. You know, you go on the news and they hear crime, they hear all this stuff. Like, people literally think, I live in Minneapolis. Oh, do you feel safe? Right. Yeah, what are you talking about? Like, people literally think it's like a war zone in the city. Yeah. So I think I always like to highlight things that are going on, because it's like there's so much going on, and they put us in this 2 to 3 thing category, right? Where it's like, there's a million good things going on. People working like, oh, why don't you care about gun violence? Are you serious? Like, you know how many organizations that work with trying to do this stuff, like
violent prevention, everything, like so many.
So I think it's important to highlight what's going on in the community. Yeah, you know.
No, that's real. Yeah. So I mean, I think everyone plays a pivotal part in their community. I'm a North Minneapolis resident, you know what I'm saying? And everyone's playing their part. One of the biggest misconceptions, and which I find to really be, to me, a form of a microaggression is when somebody says, oh my gosh, you live in North Minneapolis, you're so resilient. Oh my God, you live in the city. Oh my God, how do you make it through? What do you mean? I'm just living my everyday life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got people from the burbs that say, I'm not going to come over, to your barbershop unless it's early in the morning because I've been seeing that there's been a proliferation of violence and shootings. What are you saying to the people that live here? You know what I'm saying? Like, have to deal with this every day. So I get it. You know what I mean? Imagery is and media is the fourth branch of the government. You know what I mean? I don't mean to go all deep, but a lot of propaganda, a lot of misleading information. So yeah, you're right. It is good to highlight what we're doing in the community. So
no, we'll wrap up with this. I know we talk a lot about kind of owning your business. Mm-hmm. What would you say the best part of owning your business? Is it the freedom? Is it the serving? Like, what is like the best part of owning your business?
The best part of owning my own business is I have a sense of ownership. You know what I mean? I wake up in the morning, and I don't have this experience every morning. I'm just going to sit here and just let you know, like, a feeling of accomplishment, sense of accomplishment, sense of ownership, you know what I mean? Where you could walk in your space, you know what I mean? And say, look what God has blessed me with. Look what I'm supposed to be a steward over, okay? What a great gift, right? From a great guy. Yeah, I'm going to spiritualize it because I'm not going to rob him and take no glory from what he's done for me, bro, And that's the best part, that you trust me enough to be a steward to take care of this space and to take care of your people. That's deep to me. I mean, that's daunting too.
Yeah.
But it's a rewarding feeling, bro. I serve with, Pastor Jordan Nelson, you know what I mean, with some of what he's doing, you know what I mean? I serve on his board of directors, and this is really a blessing to be a part of. He's doing some amazing work, man. You know what I'm saying? He has, shout out to Foundations Church. They have a youth empowerment club where they're, implementing like black coding and, apps and engineering into the young people's minds, giving them that exposure. And that's indispensable. You know what I mean?
Computers out.
Free computers, all that, man. That's just a microcosm of so much more that he's done. And I'm pretty sure one day he might be on here and he could allude to it himself. But, and then his wife just has the homeless, you know what I mean, organization, You Matter, where they're just actually, being the hands and feet, you know what I mean, of God's goodness, you know what I mean, by going out here, meeting the people's needs in the community. That's something that's really inspiring, you know what I mean, and encouraging to see, you know what I mean, and for me to be a part of, to be able to witness that, you know what I mean. So that's some community work. We could all talk about what happened during George Floyd, because that was the impetus for a lot of people to propel, altruism and alacrity in their own community. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, my fraternity done so much in that endeavor, you know what I mean? But surpassing that, man, George Floyd, just whatever the need is, and sometimes it's hard to really, keep a dossier or a collection of what you've done in the community. I'm just usually at anything that's happening that has to do with empowering our people, community engagement, community work, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I would say about the community piece.
No, I think it's definitely important. And that I think as people in the community, we don't look at it as community work.
Right.
It's just like life.
Facts. Facts.
So like a lot of times when I talk to people who don't live in a community, it's like, oh, what are you doing in your community?
Yeah.
It's nothing.
Right.
Like a lot of people don't do anything. Where it's kind of.
Yeah. If there's a need, you meet it.
Yeah, exactly.
As an indigenous person in the community that you live, right?
Yeah.
If there's a need, you just meet it. Like you're not keeping a collection or tract of what you've done to help out in the community. So, but it is imperative, like you stated, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
To change that narrative. Yep.
Well, thank you again for coming on. You informed me on a lot of things. I had no clue how barbers work. But thank you again.
Yeah.
As always, if you want to find them, Reflections Barbershop. You want to get that address one more time?
Yeah, 3862 Reflections Barbershop, located here in North Minneapolis. I'm right off of Thomas, 3862 Thomas. I'm going to go off appointments only. Just pop in, even if you just want to hang out. All are welcome.
Yeah. Like I said, I get my hair cut there. I need to come back sometime in a week or so. But thank you again.
Hey, thank you, Rich.
All right.
Appreciate it, man. Yep.
That's the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you want additional resources, please go on my website, richberkley.com. I have information on how to budget, how to pay off loans, how to get out of retirement, and much more. Also, if you'd like to be featured on the podcast, please reach out to me. I like to find interesting people, interesting businesses, and also people who give back to the community. If that's you, please go on my website. It has my phone number, email, and a link to schedule a meeting with me. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed the podcast.
MBC. No relation to NBC.